Like when I was younger, as a baby, the doctor would say, Richard's going to really struggle to walk. Richard's going to struggle to access education. Richard's going to struggle to hold down a job because of his disability.
Welcome to the Next Level Guys Show podcast. I'm Ian, and this is where men rebuild discipline, confidence, and take control of their lives. No hype, no excuses, just real conversations and practical tools. Let's get into today's episode. Richard Whitehead, MBE, is a Paralympic gold medalist, world record marathon runner, and founder of the Richard Whitehead Foundation. Beyond sport, he's dedicated his life to challenging perceptions around disability and helping people realise their own potential through purpose, leadership and inclusion. Richard has spent his life proving doctors, doubters and society wrong. But this conversation isn't just about medals, it's about what happens when other people decide who you are before you've had the chance to discover it for yourself. We talk about purpose, grief, resilience, leadership, disability, and the quiet question that still drives him despite everything he's achieved. Has he done enough? More than anything, this is a conversation about refusing to accept limits that were never yours to begin with. Whether you've been underestimated, written off, or simply feel stuck, Richard's story is a reminder that your future doesn't have to be defined by someone else's expectations. And now, let's get to the interview.
All your work as well. It's great. It's great listening to it, and I've kind of had a little bit of a. Obviously, before I go on anybody's kind of podcasts, or I always have a little bit of a listen. So yeah, well.
Bro, which one did you get a chance to have a listen to?
What was the last one you did? The last one you recorded? Was it the last? Did you do one last week? Was it the last one you did last week?
I've done quite a few sort of like cycling guys like Dean Scott, Buford.
Which one? I was listening to it the other day in the car.
Dulcet tones.
Anyway, yeah, it was one that I kind of got a vibe of, obviously, your questioning as well, which is really good as well, because obviously different people have a different kind of approach for how they deliver their questions, and it's really informal. I quite like it, like you say, the back and forth approach.
Yeah, because I think that's something that a lot of people, they want to try to impress, they want to just talk about your medals, and I want to know.
Yeah, and those kind of conversations have been had a lot anyway. So,
and I want to know you, because I find you so fascinating. There's such a depth, an interest there. But
for sure,
how would you sum up yourself? Like, if you had to introduce yourself, because you've done an amazing amount of things, but what do you describe yourself as you?
I would say a lot of people would describe me as obviously an athlete, a person with a disability, and I would describe myself as somebody that likes to make a change, likes to show that anything's possible, and really unlock potential in people. So that's obviously my kind of front-facing aura, you could say. But I think internally, I think I'm a guy that works really hard, and hopefully when people listen to me, they see a different side to the runner. And I would say that I've had so many life experiences, positive and negative, that hopefully have brought me to this place now where it's given me a really great platform to be able to help people to understand what life really means. And life really, really means it's an opportunity, and everybody deserves a platform to shine, but not everybody understands that your goals and aspirations are as important as anybody else's, whether you've got a few followers, million followers, whether you're from a small community, a big community of people. Your life, your platform is as important as anybody else's. And like I said previously, your platform really does give people an opportunity to shine, but also inform the audience around some of the skills and tools that people have and develop that really do help unlock other people's potential.
Thank you. I really appreciate the kind words. I mean,
No,
because
and
that's something I see in you, that you've changed millions of lives. You've won numerous and countless medals and awards and things. But was there a point in growing up in school that people started treating you differently, but also that you felt differently, that you felt I am destined for bigger and better things than just being somebody that's sort of kept to the side?
I would say that as you grow up, you start to understand perceptions and understand how other people put barriers and obstacles in front of you, and the ones that aren't physical are the ones that the really toughest ones to remove, obviously, because those stigmas that you're having to try and change around the importance of equality, diversity, inclusion, the importance of social change, are the ones where you're having to really show and educate. And I remember growing up, like obviously having a disability and having those physical challenges like steps and ramps and people moving a lot quicker than me being the ones that were really frustrating. But then looking back, I think the tougher challenges and obstacles were people's perceptions of what I could and couldn't do,
Mm.
and then having to educate those individuals to say that I deserve the same opportunity. Maybe the pathway to success was longer, or maybe took a little bit more support and guidance, but it was as fruitful. And obviously now with my success, it's just really highlighted that perseverance is really key. And when I go into schools, colleges, and universities now, I talk about uh, success and leadership and perseverance and enjoying the process of going towards or aspiring towards your goals. And I think as a youngster, did have people and role models that were around me, but I didn't have people that looked like me, that had that empathy, that could really say, actually, Richard, it's going to be okay.
Mm. And was there somebody at that point who kind of, because you've talked about how your parents instilled these core values in you, but was there an
Yeah.
inspiration apart from Terry Fox? Was there like a teacher, or was there somebody looking out for you at that point?
Yeah, and there was various individuals that I was fortunate enough to obviously come into contact with, and a gymnastics coach called Whack that I was in Daco Flying Angels, which is an all boys gymnastics group when I was younger. He was somebody that was a real role model when I was growing up. Head teacher, Mr. Scott, at my secondary school, because my first school that I went to, I didn't have a great experience. My tutor, Mrs. Griffiths. Again, there's people that throughout my life that maybe had those little elements of kind of showing and supporting that there was real potential inside this little boy,
Mhm.
and this little boy that had a disability, that clearly there was going to be some real challenges and obstacles for this person to achieve those aspirations in life. And they supported and really mentored my potential. But then also, I think I got to understand that sport was such a powerful thing for me, but it wasn't just solely the participation, it was how people respond to my performances within sport. And then also the importance of those sharing those gold medal moments with the wider community and really showing up every time, like on the field of play, delivering a performance that you're proud of, and going that extra mile. And I think those people, when I was growing up, really did highlight that community element. And to this day, still have contact with a lot of those people. Wack, unfortunately, isn't with us anymore, and that he's a great loss. But I think those memories kind of really really stay with me. And one person, one of my friends, Simon Mellows, that died of the same cancer as Terry Fox, sarcoma. He was somebody, as he was coming towards the end of his life, really did underpin the importance of gratitude, the importance of kindness, the importance of the impact you can have through sport, and hence the reason why I'm now patron of Sarcoma UK. I also have my own charity. I also selflessly give as much time as I can to initiatives that need that support. And I advocate for other athletes and other people within society to do exactly the same, because it's really important to, when you look in people's eyes and see that trauma, you see that those real obstacles, that they need to have people that can support them. And so sport really does provide people with mental health and physical health opportunities that other areas of life don't offer support in.
Because you've certainly opened the door to showing people that a lot of people with disabilities, with handicaps, mentally, physically, emotionally, etc., all they want is a chance to just be themselves and just do
Opportunity,
what.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure. And a lot of people that reach out to me, whether it's socially or whether it's in the street, that see me running, they probably see me as a person that's overcoming my disability, and success is bigger than that. And I think when I look back on my career, it started obviously with London 2012 and that fantastic opportunity of enrichment and winning my gold medal, and really did catapult myself and my sport and my disability into people's homes and hearts. But I think it was then my opportunity to wear that tracksuit with pride and really kind of embrace the opportunity around making that social change. And I don't think enough people do that, and that's a real shame. So when I meet young athletes, young leaders, young coaches, I say, look, yes, you're offering this, you're providing this, but what are those other hidden talents and hidden skills and hidden gifts that you've got? Bring those to the table, because that will really elevate the opportunity to make yourself different and give yourself a real opportunity to support people into the future and be sustainable.
I mean, you're certainly doing that on a daily basis, but
I try to, and it really does motivate me. It's like a lot of people say, why do I do what I do? It motivates like my training. It motivates when I see other people do some great things that have come through the foundation, or maybe some of the work that I've done. Yeah, it's fantastic to see, and I think those gold medal moments, everybody deserves them, and hopefully I personally have a lot, and I provide other people with those as well.
And do you think the younger Richard would have been a kind of like, I do what? When you think about, you've stood on podiums, you've got an MBE, you've started a
Yeah,
foundation, you talk to
yeah.
charities and, these things. But is it a smaller, kind of quieter, more contained, shyer version of yourself?
Oh no,
That
I love my own personal time. Yeah, when I come home or I have those moments, it's great to have your own kind of your personal time where you look after your own, obviously, mental health, look after yourself, give yourself some time to reflect and analyze. And I think obviously as a younger person, I was very shy, not as optimistic as I am now. I think disability was a big part of my life, where I think now it's a small part. I don't allow my disability to stop me from doing anything, to be honest. And I think society still has a long way to go to change, to not just see disabled people as people that are doing well or to pity, but actually deserve to be in leadership roles and CEO roles, and to be really leaders in society. The young Richard Whitehead, I think, would not realise his potential at that point. And a question that I'd put to him at that time would be, what are your aspirations? And probably at that time it was, I'd like to get to the Paralympics. And then I'd say, look, you just need to be perseverant. You need to work hard and be kind and be genuine and authentic, and everything will be fine. And that's the same message that I give to young people now.
I love how that was your sort of aspiration to go to the Paralympics. Most people would have
It
been
was.
to get a girlfriend or get a car, or
That's it. Yeah.
But I mean, do you find then when you look at that now that like that maybe that primary school kind of controlled, like you're just, if you're quiet, you just get left behind. School, if you have a good teacher, they bring it out of you. But the sort of the way we teach like healing modalities to in surgeries and stuff, we just say,
Yeah.
okay, that's it, you're not allowed to do that anymore. Or we say to people like, no, that's you limited by this. How would you change that for schools, for the way hospitals treat these things to youngsters, so we can get them into the CEOs and the leadership roles?
Yeah, I think schools have opportunities for young people, especially in leadership opportunities. But I feel that representative wise, they don't understand that everybody needs that opportunity of enrichment. And I think when you've got a disability and you feel part of something, and you have an equal opportunity, and you have a safe place to shine, it really does mean a lot to a person with a disability. And in the UK, 1 in 4 people have a disability, whether that's hidden, learning, sensory. So it's a big part of society, and a lot of those individuals are still left behind, or have these stigmas around their impairments that don't give them those opportunities. And I'm now in a position where I'm able to support, mentor, and educate some of those communities about the importance of equality, diversity, and inclusion. And I still feel that there is a long way to go with regarding representation, and also celebrating that success. And the start of celebrating that success is highlighting that it's okay to be different. And these different skills, goals, and aspirations in life are very similar to celebrating the difference in disability, and highlighting that it's not all about gold medals at Paralympics as a disabled person. It's about people within the community that are doing some fantastic things that have got disabilities. And I'm fortunate that I've had those opportunities in my life. I continually want them. Selfishly, to kind of keep pushing on and being the best athlete that I can be, even though I'm nearly 50. And but my real purpose is slowly changing to be able to find the next Richard Whitehead and really develop a sustainable community where everybody's represented and everybody feels like they've got a safe space.
So, what would you say to kids like that who come and say, look, I don't have a good role model. I don't have a good teacher who's kind of tried to push me into things. I mean, you did, gymnastics, you were
Yeah,
swimming, you were running. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
you seem to have amazing parents, but for people who maybe are fearful, but they want to try something, was there
Yeah,
something
and
that
that was
got you over it?
yeah, and it was never easy at the start. It was never an easy transition between like going into school and transitioning to secondary school. I think education was a real struggle for me and my family because of the restrictions that the primary school setting really had. I would say that if you're a young person now that hasn't got those role models and aspirations and those networks that will support those enrichment moments, it's about people like myself really being accessible, having those microphone moments, having those moments on TV that people relate to, and then support the wider community. I think education needs to have more people from the community going in and talking about the importance of inclusion, and also showing difference, like people with disabilities or people that have done some incredible things within society, like climbed Everest or being an astronaut, or and then also relating it back to the kids and say you could be a graduate at Oxford or Cambridge, or you could be an Olympian or Paralympian, or you could be an astronaut. So really talk about aspirations, about that they are achievable. Because if I didn't think it was achievable for me at a young age to be a Paralympic athlete, then maybe I wouldn't be sitting here now talking to you. Maybe I'd just be a disabled person that's in a 9 to 5 job that's not happy with what they're doing. Now, that's okay having a 9 to 5 job, but I also think we all need to aspire to be better. Whether we've got a disability or not, every day we wake up, we should say to ourselves, what am I going to do today to make myself better, to have a bigger impact on my community, for my family to be proud of me. And then when I go to bed tonight, then brush your teeth and kind of reevaluate your day and go, I've done really well today, or I've had a real struggle and tomorrow's going to be better. But really value that time, because one thing I know from the work that I've done, especially in the humanitarian community all over the world, war-torn conflicts and working with people that have suffered from some real trauma, life can be really short. And some of those challenges that we have in life, we need to have support, yes. We need to have some positive role models, yes. But I think most of all, we need to really value life and make the most of it, because we're all on a ticking clock. We don't know when that clock's going to stop. And I think it's really important to make the most of our time on this planet.
Because I think that's where your sort of power comes from. It's that you don't just talk about it, you actually demonstrate that you can do it no matter what perceived limitation or what kind of
Yeah.
starting point they come from. And when
There's a
you,
really interesting point there, though, I think, as well, that I think limitations on disabled people initially are that somebody will see that I've got a disability, they make a subconscious bias regarding my aspirations, and then say, yes, but this would be really difficult. Like when I was younger, as a baby, there was the doctor would say, Richard's going to really struggle to walk. Richard's going to struggle to access education. Richard's going to struggle to hold down a job because of his disability. And that was like, obviously, like a punch in the face, really, like to my
no,
family. And I think as we, as disabled people, become more successful, general members of public that haven't got the empathy around disability, their aspirational kind of inspirational young person becomes, oh yeah, but now you're accessing technology, and now that because you're successful, maybe you're getting an advantage because of the technology you've gained. And the interesting thing I have is that when I've become really successful and very good at what I've done, some people in the community find that really, I think they find it a real struggle to relate, because they think that their aspirations should be as high as mine regarding success on the track or field or on the marathons. And I actually say, no, it's about my aspirations and my success are mine. Your aspirations aren't any less important as mine, but they're yours.
yeah.
And a person with a disability, when they're very successful, don't change a positive to a negative. Support, nurture, give them the platform that's sustainable, because sustainable relationships within communities are so important, and they open conversations that fulfill some of the real kind of social changes that we all need.
And is it that the bit that bugs you, that people are judged on like the subconscious bias of, oh, he's different, they look different, they have visible wounds, whatever it is. because I find that is such a. I love getting to know the person and the uniqueness because everybody's got a story, everybody's got amazing gifts and things they can give to the world. But how do we change that perceptions that people come and go, I want to know more about you, I want to see how we
Yeah.
can bond you in rather than, oh no, you're not, you're going to struggle. But I mean, are things improving from what you've seen?
I think storytelling is really important for disabled people, and more people like. I think social media is great for the disability community. A lot of people with disabilities are socially isolated. So obviously, COVID was a really interesting time because a lot of disabled people actually were more resilient than the able-bodied community because they have those challenges on 24/7, 365 days a year. And then
Hmm.
when the general member of the public couldn't go out, it was like, oh my goodness, I can't go out the house now. And there was like all these. It was just really interesting, the psychology around it, and the disabled community got left behind a little bit because the disabled community are already coping with that, already resilient, already have the tools to be able to navigate some of those problems. I yeah, I would say that um, somebody like myself, yeah, I think it's one of those things, isn't it, where you say that I would like to make a social change. I would like to support um, people with disabilities, but it's about unlocking that potential and then going, and the floor's yours. Here's an opportunity to shine, storytell, and really open the world to the disability world to those that haven't actually had experience. There's so many people out there that haven't had experience with disabled people, and as a foundation, we offer volunteering opportunities for those that want to support and give their time. It's things like swimming and running and cycling and outdoor activities, just to actually go and experience and mentor and guide. Um, and to actually say to yourself, it's okay to get something back as somebody that's a volunteer.
Hmm.
And then that knowledge, that experience that you've gained from volunteering within that disability community, you take back to your home environment, and you can use those skills, those informed skills that relate to the challenges that the disability community has. So I think empathy is really important. I think storytelling is always also really important, but an opportunity and platform for disabled people, and whatever that is, whether that's work, education, or employment.
I love that. I mean, is that where Terry Fox sort of came in? Did you see him and, you know, his running with his condition and the way it
Yeah.
inspired the world that you thought I could do this, or were you already planning something along that lines?
No, I think because I was like, probably 11, 12, 13, 14 at the time, and at that time was quite disengaged with society, and yeah, had my friends and liked to go out with my friends, and but I saw my disability as a real challenge at that point. Building relationships, like looking to like outside of education support. Didn't really understand my place in society, and then I saw the Terry Fox story, and then read his book around that it's more than just those gratifying moments on top of the podium. It's about the ability to be able to relate, so somebody that's actually doing it, and then have a purpose. And we all have a purpose in life. Maybe our purpose might be making money, it might be having a family, it might be, again, the kind of the aspirations that I talked about earlier. And I'm not saying any of those are not as worthwhile as any others, because we all should have the opportunity to have our own purpose. But when I saw Terry Fox's story and read his book, really opened that um, part of my life to say, when I have those opportunities, unlocking potential in other people will be as fulfilling as my own personal success. And it definitely has. It definitely has. And every marathon that he tried to run, every step that he took, it was with a purpose of changing people's perceptions of what can be possible. And by raising money for cancer sufferers, not just in Canada, but also highlighting cancer sufferers all over the world, has definitely unlocked a lot of potential in people. And we just need to have more role models like Terry Fox in society that really believe it's possible to make that change and then be out there doing it.
Well, I mean, I think you've taken that mantle and you've
Ah, good.
literally run with it. I mean, how
Good.
did you take that moment then of being the shy, the scared, the hating life, hating society? Because I mean, I suffered with depression when I was younger, and I think was it 3 out of 5, disabilities and illnesses, mental health issues, and all that are like unseen.
Yeah,
So we're all kind of like dealing with battles, But how did you
100%.
take that and then go? Was it just looking at Terry and going, "That's what I'm going to do"? Did that inspire you enough to leave the negativity behind, or was there something
No,
you
probably
did?
not. I think that moment with the Toe Fox moment was more of a like a probably at some point I have the opportunity to be able to run my own marathon. Um, and then start to plot how I was going to get to that first point, and then realizing that we can't do these fantastic things on our own. We need to have people support us. So I needed to have the support of the prosthetic company Ossa that gave me the running blades in 2004, and I needed to have my NHS prosthetist Terry Stanley to be able to start my running journey. I needed a running coach at the time. I didn't have one, but in 2006, Liz Yelling, who's still my coach, became my running coach. And these people are people that are positive, that add value, that believed in me, that were real genuine cheerleaders for me. And every year I I started to believe that things were possible, and that periodized approach of just being better and stronger and wiser was that culmination of probably leaving school, going to America, working on the Camp America scheme, going into teaching kids PE, then going from that into my professional career as an athlete. And yeah, even when I won my Paralympic gold medal in 2012, I was such a different person than I am now. And I think every moment that you have in your life is an enrichment opportunity. We don't realize how powerful those enrichment opportunities are. And I think we just need to be open enough and make ourselves vulnerable to understand that we can grow, but we need to make ourselves vulnerable to be able to do that. And I will say that I have been lucky in the people that have supported me. I've had some real challenges and obstacles to overcome, clearly, especially when I was younger. And I think we all have those. And the one thing that we all have in common in life, apart from breathing, is that we will all be affected by a disability or a debilitating time in our life. And why would you not upskill yourself into being more prepared for those moments? And I still see people that are blinded by maybe things like cancer and blinded by things like disability and impairments, and as things that either won't happen to them, or when it happens to them they'll deal with it. Where I think it's about being prepared, being upskilled, supporting other people in the community, because when your time needs to be supported by the community, the community will support you, but you need to be like genuine or authentic around that response, and not just kind of just go, actually, I'm going to take, but I've never given. And hopefully, all the work that I've done previously really does kind of showcase that I I appreciate everybody's support in the past, but I also know we've still got a long way to go to support these young people in their futures.
It's time for a quick break. There are millions of potential products to buy, so how do you know which ones are worth your hard-earned money? Simple. You go to nextlevelguy.com/affiliates and explore those that will transform and improve your life. You'll find deals, listener exclusives, and special offers with some great companies. Recommendations are 100% honest and only on items Ian has tried or believes in. The companies showcased will make you a better man in all areas of your life. Simply go to nextlevelguy.com/affiliates and level up.
Great answer. I mean, was that part of it that because you went and taught, because you went to different countries, that you saw how people reacted across the globe, that you
Yeah.
saw how they reacted to your perceived potential? I mean, they're
Yeah.
probably blown away by now, but how you built a team there, an amazing team that support you. You've built leadership through the teaching of the kids, etc. Was that your chance to kind of expand your horizon and see, so that's how people treat it, so this is how I fix it? Did this give you a kind of real-time working fix?
Yeah, and I still go to countries all over the world that have never seen people like myself running, walking, being in communities. So last year I was in Albania, I was in Zimbabwe, countries that maybe have never seen an amputee walking on prosthetics or definitely not running before. Um, and to be able to maybe showcase that maybe I am a little bit biased around disability, or maybe I'm not really that well informed. So it's my purpose to be a part of that education, and then having a strong team around me is something that really does advocate who I am, and we're just one person, and however much I think I can do it all and change the world myself, you can't, and you need to have those allies that are encompassing of your core values, but also grow with you. And I do a lot of work within my home city of Nottingham around that allyship as well. So working with like universities, young people's running groups, the LGBTQ plus running group in Nottingham, as well as the BME groups, because I still feel that some people within those communities with disabilities do or are hidden and don't have the opportunity to get into society. So it's my purpose and my team's purpose to have that shining light that actually shows that it's not just Richard Whitehead that turns up and wins the races or talks to young people. It's a real team effort, and everybody that's in my team really does, or hopefully feels really supported and really part of the mission, and develops the mission as well. So, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, my foundation, the Richard Whitehead Foundation, our our mission statement is to enable disabled people's ambitions. So that's nothing about sport; it's about ambitions, and we use sport as a real hook to enable people to move, to understand that there is a real opportunity within life, and we can be part of their team.
Yeah, I mean, and you've opened it up to them by showing that that you can be scared, that you can feel out of place, you can feel limited by your condition. But
Yeah,
if you go, there are people who are more than happy to help. There are people who will reach out, and and you don't have to do it your own. Find the nutritionist, find the coaches, find the
yeah,
friends, etc. I mean, I was really surprised when I heard in one of the podcasts you did where you said about you were shy when you were younger, and
yeah.
you're so likable and just easy to talk to. And I know you probably sort of worked on that through many, like thousands of like TEDx's and all these kind of things.
Yeah, I've done quite a lot. Yeah,
But something that I always think never gets the credit it deserves is the impact that you and Simon had. Because you talk about how when you're really
yeah,
struggling, you dip into that box and find the
yeah,
memories
yeah.
of
Still
him.
do,
What was it
still
about
do. Yeah, still
Simon's
do.
friendship that gave you I like they built that connection with you, but also gave you both that amazing chance to say, "We're taking on the world. We're going to do this."
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Simon was probably really good friends for about 3 years, and played cricket for Woodburn, Nottinghamshire, and we were part of the England development team, cricket development team. And I think how I related to him was that at that stage I was starting to realise that I had a real opportunity within my running, and I think I was starting to maybe take life for granted as a person that was growing up, and there was probably a split in the road where I could have kind of negatively, like drinking, socializing too much, or the other road where it was that have a real purpose and support people and a real positive mindset, positive behaviors. And then obviously having some time with people like Simon, and Simon specifically, especially that he lost his leg due to sarcoma and then unfortunately died of his sarcoma in 2005. But within those final months and really understanding the value of life with a young family, and I've taught his two children to swim, supported his widower Nikki, and obviously through the charity, really kind of highlighted the importance of research and support with families with sarcoma and obviously patients. And I think that time started to mold me around how important the decisions I was going to make in my life. And obviously, as a young person, you can talk to young people until the cows go home about you need to be doing this, and too much of doing those bad things are really bad for your own physical health, mental health, and future. Um, and I think at that time, him leaving such a young family again really did showcase that I need to, not only in Simon's memory but also with the opportunities that I have, really kind of grab the bull by its horns and go for it. And every opportunity I have in my career and life, however big and small it is, I make sure I show up. I make sure I give 100%, whether it's talking to 10 kids in a primary school or whether it's talking to 1,000 people at a conference. They get exactly the same Richard Whitehead. And Simon taught me that, I think. Simon taught me about showing up. It's instances where we'd play cricket together and maybe we were under the cosh and he kind of just pulled it out of the bag and kind of said, look, just put yourself out there, give everything, and you just be proud of who you are. And then in his final moments, I remember having conversations that really did kind of lean into that, like, you've got a disability, but use that as a real opportunity to connect to people that are struggling. And I probably have done that. And then also, obviously, then losing somebody like Simon, and then seeing that even though he was in my life for such a short time, he had a massive impact on the direction and the way of traffic that I then moved from that point in my life. And probably one of the times that when I look back at my life around running my first marathon and then having Simon's name on my vest that first marathon, and really kind of those tough moments in that marathon were like dedicated to him. And yeah, you allude to that when I have those tough moments now, that he's actually sitting on my shoulder. I open that box and he comes out and he kind of tells me, look, whatever moment you're in now, however tough it is, however dark it is, however deep you've got to dig, there's always tomorrow. And he didn't have tomorrow, and that's what really showed me that that I need to continue this journey. I sometimes feel that yes, I've got big shoulders. It's a big responsibility, but I've really chosen to accept that responsibility, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud that my parents, when I was younger, saw me as a person that could get on in life, because there's a lot of young people out there that don't have that support.
No, it's a beautiful answer, and it's beautiful to see the impact that he had on you, and that you would have had with
100%,
him, and to think
yeah.
that how great that friendship is. Do you?
Yeah,
I
and
mean, if it's
still,
not too personally, do you think back to like the inside jokes? Do like when you're really struggling and running? Are there things that you just think, oh, it cracks you up and makes you smile when you're running, or
yeah,
what?
yeah. And I think that's also like a disability thing as well, where like you kind of like when we was talk about like disability, like obviously I'm a double leg above knee amputee, and some of the athletes like Simon at the time who were single leg amputees, or like lost their fingers, or like we call them as like a scratch. You've got a scratch as a disability. It's not like, why are you moaning? You've got a scratch. So
Yeah.
it'd be those kind of moments that kind of really make me understand that it is, disability is part of life. And again, I look back at a lot of that time in my career as a real fondness that have really moulded that. When I'm training really hard and having to put every ounce of energy into what I'm doing, that there's a real purpose behind it. And that is, again, it's about that life thing. Just kind of, people have been saying to me for 20 years, when are you retiring? Even after London 2012, I was like in my mid-30s when I won my first medal. Is this the end for Richard Whitehead? And even now I feel every moment up to this point has been purposeful for this time, and I want to have as big a platform now to be able to reach as many people all over the world, and not just in the UK, not just in those countries that have the platforms of communication to be able to reach those hard to reach people, but also go into these countries like I did last year, and making myself vulnerable, and then understanding that even if I can change one person's perception about possibility, that one person, it's been worthwhile. And when I'm struggling personally and performance wise, I probably am my hardest critic, and I always try to show up. I always try to do my best. I sometimes question: am I doing my best? Am I doing enough? But that's just me. And I then have those moments with Simon, obviously personally, that then justify what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and hopefully he's proud of what I've done in his name, and obviously since then. But yeah, it's not been easy, and those relationships that we build with people are so important. We don't know how long they'll last. We don't know how long people will be in our lives, but we definitely know that those relationships will have an impact.
I'm sure he would have been very proud, and especially seeing what you've done with his kids, to his partner. The support that you've always got him first and forefront of everything. And I love that it shows the strength of character in you, that you took possibly this distraction, this pain, grief, and you said, I'm going to use this to motivate me to then go and help other people and show them that there is a way through this. That is
Yeah,
that's a part of your character that, like, because even as your body breaks down with the running and you're getting older, you're now using your foundation to say, how can I take this into millions of people rather than just inspiring the tens in the primary school or the
yeah,
going to university? It's phenomenal. But not many people would have said, let's go and run a marathon after, was it, you had barely run a mile at that point?
yeah. No, so when I got my first prosthetics, it was like about, I think, because I've been running on my knees on these sports cups before I got my prosthetics, and like I was running at night and running at the treadmill at the gym, just because I was not aware of obviously how the public would respond to obviously me running, and obviously seeing somebody running on these like sports cups. So very kind of short stature at the time. But then when I got my running prosthetics, it was probably about 3 weeks before New York Marathon. And then just chose to really embrace it. Just kind of said, well, I've got these running prosthetics. I've got X amount of sessions to do before I get to America and run. So just go for it. And yeah, I think I ran the first day like 10 miles, and had some blisters on my knees because my prosthetist at the time, Terry, went, "Oh, just take it easy. Just go for a couple of jogs up and down your street." And I was like, right, I'm just going to go for it. I've got 26 miles to run. I didn't know how far 26 miles was at the point, but I just went, right, I'm just going to run until I can't run anymore. It was 10 miles. I went up and down some hills, which were really tough. Got back home, took my prosthetics off. There was like blood in my socks. And I was like, I think that just proved how hard it was going to be, but also that, yeah, I needed to understand it's not going to be easy. And it definitely wasn't. The first marathon in New York in 2004, again, one of those defining moments. I thought I'd probably do one and never run another one. And the money that I raised from Macmillan Cancer Relief at the time, obviously we're in Simon's name, but also to really showcase that who I am, and kind of people at home, even parents, didn't know how I was going to complete it because I'd not run a 5K, 10K, half marathon race before that point. But I believed that I could do it. I believed that I had the willpower, the strength, the physical strength, the mental health strength to actually get to the finish line, whatever state I'd be in. And even to this day, the obstacles that I had to overcome to get to that finish line really do power me on to the successes that I have now.
And do you think the lack of knowledge about it, like the agony on the hip flexors, having to contract your abs for so much and push yourself forward and all those sort of things, do you think that helped you because you didn't know, you just threw yourself into it like you do a lot in life?
I think, yeah, probably if I knew how hard it would be, I probably wouldn't have done it. And again, I as a young person probably never put myself into those vulnerable situations or really challenged myself enough. But then running's really unlocked that in me regarding a challenge, and people have thrown some obviously crazy challenges my way with running, like Comrades, which is 56 miles after I did New York. Obviously running 40 marathons in 40 days for charity. Obviously my 100 marathons, like being the fastest marathon runner in the world on prosthetics, all these kind of things. I was still saying my hardest race was that first one, just because I knew how important that was to get to that finish line, and that I needed to get to that finish line in whatever state I could do, because I think that finish line was really the start for me.
I heard you mention that once where you were talking about how you planned and visualized up to the line.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do generally. So when I even the track events, when I was on the track, kind of running in the 3 Paralympics that I completed in the World Championships, I always I'd visualize like starting in the middle of my race and then seeing the finish line but not going over it. It's very similar to my marathons, kind of visualize how I'm going to feel in mile 1, mile 5, mile 10, 15, 20, whatever. And just understand that even when it is going to be tough and things are going to be sore, that I'm going to be able to get through those tough moments. So visualize them so that when they happen on race day, they're not new experiences. And then from that, have solutions to overcome those challenges. So for me, it's breathing and being more relaxed, and understanding that I'm not doing it alone. Because racing is just like a preparation of how hard you've trained. So obviously the first time that I did a New York Marathon, obviously preparation was like poor, really. I'm not trained very hard. All my life I trained for that moment, but not specifically to run. Where now, obviously when I'm running a marathon, I'm training like an elite athlete because I am one. I'm preparing like an elite athlete, and everything goes into those opportunities. And and that's what's important. It's about really showing up, showcasing who you are, and then delivering the best form of yourself, whether you're running 5 hours or 2 hours 40 or whatever it is, or climbing a mountain or supporting young people in education. I don't see myself as somebody that's had a massive impact on society at this point. I think I'm doing what I'm purposeful, what I'm meant to have done. I think those around me will, and I probably will say that I'm the hardest worker that they've ever kind of worked with, because I work 365 days a year, and whether it's training, whether it's on my business, or whether it's charity. But I hope that people see me as somebody that would just give time to anybody that needs it, and always be there to have a chat with anybody that I meet. And on a daily, I always talk to people about sport, and maybe they've seen me on TV doing some TV shows, or they might have seen me running, and it's just great to be able to communicate. And one of the skills that I've developed through sport is, and obviously through good mentorship with other people, is how important communication is, and be able to have a communication response that is adaptable and dynamic, so that I can talk to young people and inspire them, and speak to those with more wisdom and more knowledge about how important it is as a person with a disability to be in the public eye.
Because I think you're sort of underselling the importance of you, because like when I usually say to people, oh, I'm interviewing so and so, that people go, who's that? Everybody I spoke to so far that said I'm interviewing, they were like, oh yeah, I've seen him, I know him, I like him, I've watched his, and I think that you are doing this amazing things of like, but at what point did you think 40 marathons in 40 days? When you come up with these challenges, when you want to set the world records, how do you like reverse engineer from the goal to what you're in now? But also, how do you make it in your head? Do you go, okay, I can actually do this? Because
I think you're definitely right with reverse engineer. You need to have that kind of finish point, and then work backwards to how you're going to start. And 40 marathons obviously was bought out of kind of the Terry Fox kind of challenge of, obviously when I did my first marathon, it was like, I've done a marathon now, and Terry Fox was doing one of these every day, trying to run from east to west of Canada. So I wanted to do something very similar with running from north to south of the UK, and then obviously get a team around me that was able to support that, and kind of I was the face of it, but there's more than me in that challenge. I think I do struggle a little bit with like challenges generally, because a lot of people are doing them now, whether it's 100 marathons, 200 marathons, 40 marathons, like running for 100 miles. I think the real importance isn't the number. It's, again, going back to that purpose. Why are you doing this? And I understand people are doing it for charity, or in memory of like loved ones, or but really hang on to that purpose, because you can be raising millions and millions of pounds, but unless you believe that you're having an impact, then you're not growing as a person. And I think I would like to, and I think I have over the last 10 years, grown as a person, because not only have I had people around me that have been really positive, but also I believe that my purpose was to be doing what I'm doing now. And whether I'm raising shitloads of money, or inspiring loads of people, or meeting people in these fantastic events, I always come back to my purpose, and that's hopefully showing up, doing a great job, and showcasing that anything's possible. And when people see me, they will see different things, and that's okay. So maybe they'll see overcoming a challenge. Maybe they're inspired because they've never seen a person with a disability running before, or a disabled person might say, actually, that now means that I can do what I want to do in my life. And I think that's the most important thing. It's definitely more important than 40 marathons or 100 marathons or whatever. And that's what I'm really proud of. I'm really proud of that I'm able to do that. And I think too many times people want to be the best, the fastest, the strongest, and the world records. That really pushes me personally. Is it like if I ran, like so I've run obviously 240, broke my world record this year twice. That means a lot to me because it shows that at 49 I'm still in great shape. Does it mean a lot to the outside world? Probably in the running world it does, but the wider world it doesn't. And actually, that's where for me it's like the world records, the times are insignificant if the purpose isn't right.
And is that where that live without limits comes from? Where you've kind of that first crossing the line, and then my first marathon was for you, but now the rest is to kind of motivate and inspire other people to live without the limits.
Yeah, and yeah, I've got a tattoo on my right arm. Cometh the hour, cometh the man. So for me, that means when the time comes, you kind of step up to the plate and shine, hopefully, or have that opportunity. And I think limits are those that other people put in front of you, and those are limits that they have on themselves. Like I said earlier about the last 20 years, people have been saying that I should retire, or when are you retiring? And I think that's because they feel
Threatened.
maybe that because I'm doing these really kind of incredible challenges, that they should be doing things very similar. And I say that that's not the case. Hopefully, with what I'm doing, that just shows that you can have your own aspirations in life, and whether that's get a new job, whether it's start your running journey, whether it's go back into education. I think it's very personal, and don't feel threatened by other people's success.
Because I think that is the thing nowadays, isn't it? We all want to beat each other up. We always want to ridicule or find a reason, that you're doing this and I'm not. And rather than going, bloody hell, that's a great thing. I won't be able to do that.
Yeah.
But what?
And that's probably why I went over to America as well to do quite a lot of my initial challenges. And yeah, I've done, I don't know, probably 30 marathons in America, in like New York, Chicago, Boston, Miami, Washington. And I felt that there was a real affiliation to and gratification around success, around and championing and cheerleading disability. Where here we have this mindset of that people with disabilities need to be supported, need to be pushed, need to be patted on the head, need to be given money, because the word handicapped means hand in cap or cap in hand. So that's where that word comes from. So that's where obviously now it's changed, obviously to disability. And that's where I believe a change was in my perception in my impact. Going to America, working over there, racing in America, and then utilising that for my what I want to do for the rest of the world.
Because you've talked about being, your visibility as a tool to kind of show people what you're capable of, but also what like people with disabilities have to endure because of the moronic side of how we implement society and how how we our attitudes to potentials and stuff like that. But what does that mean on a day-to-day basis? Because we see you crossing the finish lines, but we never think about you in the hotel room with the ice packs, hating life because you're away from your partner, or that you're in agony, not wanting to get up in the next day. How do you balance that with being the symbol that inspires so many people, but also you as a person?
Yeah, it's the process is a long process to that start line for sure. Like people don't understand. Like even for a marathon, I'm getting up really early and hydrating and eating and preparing, and obviously I've got a disability, and being an athlete, there's like challenges that I have that I probably take for granted, but I use that as real preparation time. So I'm really preparing for that success. And you alluded to, there's obviously a lot of time away from family and friends, and a lot of sacrifice that they have to make for my success. I wouldn't say I make sacrifices. I think everybody around me, my family, makes those sacrifices. And there's definitely more to the successes I have. Like last year, like doing 20 marathons, the kind of support that I have to get in 220 countries, doing 29 international flights, 105,000 air miles I did last year.
What has this cost you, being this person? Do people want you to be a bad day?
Great question. I think people obviously ask about success and they see the success, but they don't understand the impact that has, obviously mentally, physically, emotionally, and a lot of professional athletes do struggle with the impact of after success, because you're not only catapulted into the public eye, but also you're the best at what you do in the world when you win that gold medal, the best. And to be the best, you have to have given everything, and you have to be selfish. You have to cut people out of your life. And I'd say for me, I'm a different person when I'm an athlete, different than when I'm a dad, different than when I'm Richard Whitehead that supports the foundation. And I think I have to have those different hats. I'm lucky that I enjoy what I do. Look, I enjoy running. I'm a better trainer than I am a competitor. I've always said I'm not the best athlete, but I am the best at training. I've always said that and when people see me train and see the effort that I put in my training, they realise why I've won all the gold medals, why I've been the world champion, the world record holder that I have. And even at now, because I really value what I do. But yeah, it does take its toll. Definitely mentally. Mental health and physical health have took a bit of battering over the years. And people don't understand that. They just see the success. They just see the gold medals. They just see like what next. It's amazing. Like I had a conversation with somebody the other day about I just won the London Marathon, and it was my 6th marathon of the year. And the first question that I had was, when's your next marathon? And I was like, I just want to rest. I just want to rest. Running 3 marathons, 2 of them breaking my world record in 15 days, took a lot out of me. And that's just the running, not the press, not the travel, not the preparation, not everything else that goes into it. Because if my preparation is crap, if I'm not able to get to the start line in the best shape, I'm going to be nowhere near the best. And as a 49-year-old, everything needs to align. I train harder now than I did when I was 30. And that's because I think I've got a lot more knowledge and wisdom about what it takes to be the best.
And how much did becoming a father change that situation? Did it open you up to thinking about longevity? I know you probably don't want to think about when you're gone, your legacies and things like that, but did it kind of put an extra flavour onto this mission that you have in life?
Sure, and you see obviously in young people's eyes some of the trauma that young people have, but you also see the excitement, expectation. You see the opportunity, and then obviously being a father of 2 children, it's great to leave that legacy for them, and hopefully they have ambitions through what they see in me. Whether I'd want them to be a runner and go down this route, maybe not. And that's an interesting concept as well, because a lot of athletes have young people that go into running or go into the sports that they do because that's where they've spent a lot of their time. Where I think I'd rather my children have their own path and have their own legacy, but still be proud of who I am. And enjoy some of my kind of fruits of my success. But well, obviously, I think when you're, again, it's interesting because you have to be so selfish as an athlete to compete. So hence when I go to those training camps and go away, I don't take my family because I'm so focused on that end result of competing. Especially when I'm going for like a world record time or I'm competing at the Paralympics, you need to be fully focused. And but I know that obviously I've got that support at home, and my kids are paramount to that.
Do you see that kind of that strange dynamic in them that they're born and bred like with somebody with a disability in their life, so they understand it, they have that empathy? Do you see the difference between them and their friends when you first meet them?
Yeah, I think so. I think, but it's normalising those conversations, isn't it? It's having those experiences that they normalise society. I still feel that young people need to be more exposed to disability and the benefits of that, and shy away from some of these awkward conversations that I still have on a daily basis. If I was being frank and honest, I would probably say that I have discrimination on a daily basis. Well, how people, I obviously walk around with shorts on. People see me with shorts on. Sometimes I get people videoing me like without knowing, without actually asking a question, or like maybe some of the kids having responses that's not too kind. But I choose that as I do what I do because I can. I've got the confidence, I've got the insight, I've got the knowledge to be able to address some of those situations and hold people to account, but also educate. And I think obviously my young children have obviously seen some of the challenges that I've overcome and are more equipped than a lot of young people around life and discrimination. And one of the things that I talk to my Black and Asian friends about discrimination, because I think we all identify that people of colour suffer from discrimination on a daily basis because of their voice being heard. But we definitely don't hear enough of the disability community around discrimination. And when we do, it's more about accessibility. Oh, I'm not able to access this building. I'm not able to access the trains or transport systems. But people with disabilities, the reason why there's so many mental health conditions, the reason why there's so much unemployment, the reason why there's so much isolation is because of discrimination. And even though we have people in the House of Lords and we have people in government with disabilities, we still don't have a strong enough voice for the disability community that really highlights that.
And do you think that's down to ignorance on people's parts? Is it just lack of education?
Both. Yeah, both.
So when you are sitting there and you're thinking, I'm 49, you've done over 100 marathons, you've got gold medals, you inspired millions, you've got a foundation that's changing lives and showcasing and showing people that they can do what they want. There's no limit to their potential. That you're reinstalling the kind of software in people's heads that people with disabilities there's nothing different to them. They're just people at the end of the day. What are you scared of in your head? Is there a part of you that you think, if I stop now,
have I done enough? That's it. Have I done enough? That's it. That's the answer to your question. And I think it's very personal to me. Like I've said to you before, I think obviously a lot of people that know me and have seen how I've grown in the last 20 years would say I've done more for Nottingham and the community than probably anybody, especially in the disability area. But that's from their lens, from their mindset. For myself, I'll always be my biggest critic, and maybe I've still got a lot to achieve within life, especially within the disability world. And I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to put myself in that space to know that my life is dedicated to making that social change. And just have I done enough? That's and some people it's a crazy kind of question, because people say that I've done a lot, but I always kind of go back to that one question myself, and I'm obviously on the right path. I've done a lot of great things, but I still feel it's only the start.
And is there an answer to that? Do you think you have, or do you always want to keep going? Because if you do think of stopping, it's scary that you don't know where it might lead you. You always want to see where your true potential.
Yeah, and I think when we talk about potential, we talk about young people, don't we? I think as you get older, you lose potential into you just talk about legacy instead of potential. But I've definitely got more potential. I want to have more of an impact around kind of business with young people. That's a real kind of purpose at the moment. So I'm getting into a lot of businesses around talking about representation, leadership, just giving young people opportunities. Education is a real issue for disabled people at the moment. People with SEN, special educational needs as well. Not everybody with a disability is an SEN pupil, but some of those SEN students are really isolated. Nothing to do with sport; it's more about access. And then also there's a range of people that have maybe left school that haven't got a role in society, that are apparently unemployable, that really need to have an opportunity. So I'm actively looking for ways to support those individuals, and hopefully people don't see what I'm doing as a real as a step too far for them, but they can actually see some kind of part of them in me, and understand that I'm continually pushing on because I can see the value of what I do. And again, it's whether it's in my little village of Burton Joyce or Nottingham in the East Midlands, or whether I'm in London or internationally talking to an international audience, always value that opportunity for making that change. But we need to change ourselves before we change the world, and that's probably my underlying thing that I've found over the years, that I tried to change the world without actually changing myself. And now I've kind of, and I continually learning, continually embracing new experiences to actually change the world. And I'm definitely a different person now.
And what would you say to somebody then that feels stuck? You know, they are inspired and they want to do these things. They see the potential through, your stories and what you've been able to do. But what would you say to them to kind of how could they start by changing themselves? That you needed.
Yeah, expose themselves to new scenario situations, expose themselves to new potential opportunities. Like I said to you before about volunteering, so important. Meet new people. It's okay to get things wrong, to make mistakes. I've made plenty of them, and you learn from them. Successes are fantastic, but it's a self-gratifying moment that it's not as big unless you share it with a big group of people. And that's the thing. It's just about going out there and doing it, and be brave. These words that we all kind of belittle, like especially around the disability community. You're brave, you're courageous. I'm definitely brave, and I'm definitely courageous, and I definitely don't belittle anybody for using that word. But use it in the right way, not to kind of pigeonhole me into a group of people that, you're brave because you've got a disability. No, I'm brave because I put myself out there, and I believe I can make a change. I believe that I'm good at what I do. I now openly cheerlead my success and my team success, because I believe that we should do that, and not because I'm showing off, but because of the impact that hopefully it has.
I mean, that takes me beautifully on to, I brought out this question that I used to always ask was, what makes somebody a next level person? Somebody who goes out and achieves these things compared to those who just dream. Is that the thing that they're missing, is being brave, that kind of berserker confidence?
Yeah, for sure. I think it is being brave, it's being courageous, and it's being a cheerleader. I think unless you're a cheerleader for yourself, you're wanting other people to cheerlead for you. That's really tough. And be a pioneer within your community, within your sector, and really just go for it. Understand that before you have that success, you're going to have many failures, and you're going to learn from those failures, and just keep striving. And if you're motivated solely by the financial benefits of being successful, you're not going to be successful. You're not going to be fulfilled. And I think those people that are successful have sat back and looked at their successes and gone, actually, I've made a change. I've made an impact, and it's sustainable. And I'm still on that path. I still feel that there's a lot of people maybe that haven't heard of me, that haven't had the impact, hadn't had the opportunity to see me doing what I do best. And then even that, I was trying to get into my head about, is Richard Whitehead like a runner, or is Richard Whitehead something else? Because you talk about that kind of, when you're not here anymore, how do people see you? And I'd like people to know that I was a good person, but also that I cared about what I did, and used all these platforms to unlock communication between people. And I've travelled the world, and I've been able to hopefully connect with people that don't speak my language through what I do, and that's a powerful thing.
I mean, you certainly do that. You certainly are changing lives, and you will be remembered as somebody who has changed the world, has opened the eyes of people to, like, our potentials and what's holding us back, and how society is stupid and focuses on completely pointless things like their Kardashians and the likes, where we should be, should be yourself. I'm not suggesting you put a champagne one on your bat and do those kind of Kim Kardashian poses, but do you ever stop and think back of what you've done, or are you also focused on what you could do that you'd never look back?
Not really. Not really. People obviously talk about my successes, and it's nice. Obviously, yes. I don't. Yeah, I definitely look back, like probably 21 years of my running, 20, 30 years of being involved at high level sport, and you realise that you've done some kind of really incredible things, and it's nice to look back. And then even the people that I've met, because we all have these like red string moments. I don't know if you've heard of the term red string moments, where you meet somebody and you've had a change, or that they've been impacted for you, and then somewhere down the line you'll come together again. And whether it's 10, 20 years, whether it's social media or see them in person, or you always have that opportunity to reconnect with somebody. You don't have to look for them on these websites or whatever. It kind of just organically happens, and it's like, to call it like a red string moment. And I think those are just really interesting, because like, I'll meet people now. Obviously, I'm coming up to my 50th birthday, and a lot of my friends obviously are 50 or having 50th birthdays, and they're then reflecting on my time at school, and that's a different Richard Whitehead than Richard Whitehead now. And it's also really nice that people still feel that connection, that even though maybe I've had all this success, that they still feel that I'm somebody that they can send a message to or talk to. I think it's a great skill to have, because people put you on a podium or platform that's like, you're one of these athletes that have done so much, and it's fantastic to meet you, but feel really honoured. I'm like, look, I'm just one person. I'm just very good at what I do, and I've had some great success. But that success is through hard work, through discipline, through resilience, through really putting yourself in those vulnerable situations. And I believe anybody can run their own marathon. That's one. I also believe anybody can do anything in their life. It's just about taking that first step, which inevitably is the hardest.
Yeah, because it's great that you said that, because there's all these people we do look at and go, oh, they're celebrities, they're this, they're that, but to your kids, your dad, to your partner, your husband, you're probably like a mate to these, and I think we forget sometimes that these are real people, and there's so much of their own lives, they're able to make mistakes and try different things and stuff, and it's not always going to go right, but
no.
I mean, I know I've used up so much of your time. I do feel it's an honour to speak to you, but I wanted to get to know the real Richard, and I think that's the part that sometimes we forget is there's the aches, the pains, the worries, the things, but how much of all this goes back to you being the person that young Richard needed at that point?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Again, I'd definitely say that I'm a different person than I was when I was growing up. I think there's the trauma that probably I suffered and suffer from as a disabled person is through probably being a young person and having that discrimination against. And I think everybody has trauma in their life, whether accident, illness, tragedy, or through experience. And I think probably that shaped me as a person. But without that, I don't think I'd be the same person today.
So let's give you a magic wand. What would you change right now? How would you make the future better for the next generation of Richards?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, a magic wand would be around like inclusion policies for like education and have a lot more support for like for instance, my philosophy around education should be one sentence, and that's every child matters. And I remember being in education and them teachers talking about that, and it doesn't relate because you just don't feel it. And whether teachers, whether schools, whether government feels that they deliver that, it definitely isn't. And then just getting more people moving, just kind of supporting, getting people into social groups that are representative. And I think there's still a lot of misinformation around disability, and even in films, like the baddies of a film normally is disfigured or has a disability or has a mental health issue. Or I work quite a lot in the armed forces, and a lot of the vets seem to be baddies in some of these films because they're suffering from PTSD or whatever. And I think we need to move away from those negative stereotypes. We need to work with people with good energy, and I think magic wand moments. I think I'd like to continue to have a positive impact in those areas, but I wouldn't really change anything. And saying that, even though you could ask for some like really fantastic things in life, but I think we've got a purpose, and maybe my purpose is just not being fulfilled at the moment, and I'm trying to push on and trying to bring people more onto my journey and get more people involved in my journey to then have a bigger impact.
I'm surprised that the government isn't sort of breaking down your door and saying, you're inspiring so many, you're changing so many lives. How can we then take your teachings in a bigger, wider platform?
Yeah, no, I think people are scared, aren't they? I think they're scared of. I think they're scared of the because it's such a big community, the disability community, and I think I've done work within the government before, and obviously, especially around like access to prosthetics, even around like physical health, mental health. I still think there's still some pushback and some political kind of issues around how much people do because of how much that would cost and how much.
Yes.
And again, it's for me, it's having good people in those positions that make a positive change. Would I want to be involved in politics? Probably not. Do I have I got an interest in politics? Yeah, I've got a great interest in politics for sure, because that's how you make those changes for generations. I just think at the moment we're at a real kind of pivot point within society, and governments have opportunity and pivot points that they kind of really navigate towards. So things like mental health, or things like did you hear that? You're my little girl. What time? 8 o'clock, Baba. 8 o'clock. I need to eat, obviously. I think for me, it's those pivot points are something that we've never had a disability moment. Do you know, like with Black Lives Matters and the kind of the George Floyd situation, where it was really highlighted around that movement. I don't think we've had like a disability pivot point yet, and that's where if we had a disability pivot point, that we can make some real change.
Well, they do call it a leadership race. Just saying.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know they definitely do. And I tell you, I see bad leadership. You don't have to be the loudest in the room to be a great leader. Leadership for me, as I think I've always been one to show. I've always been a driver in my journey, not a passenger, but also I think it's an opportunity to create those opportunities for other people to drive and not be the driver all the time. And that's really powerful. Do you know, when you see somebody that's not got the confidence or the outlook to think that they could be a leader, and then all of a sudden you give them the wheel, and then they take it, and that really does kind of catapult them into space. It's a great opportunity, especially with somebody that's maybe got a physical, sensory or learning disability that would never think they've got those opportunities. And the messages I get on social media are so powerful, like the testimonials that I have on my website and through things like LinkedIn are things that I kind of sometimes don't realise, and my head of comms, Claire, would then go, actually, have you seen this comment? It just really shows that you're making a difference, and that's nice.
Well, you're certainly making a difference. You're changing lives, you're inspiring millions, and you're doing it to help the next generation. And that's what we're here to do, is to leave the world in a better place than that we arrived. I've still got pages of questions. I'd love to do another one. I've used up so much of your time, but what would you want people to take from this? What would be the kind of a message that no matter what they listened to in the whole interview, they took as a kind of a tool, a guidance, a reminder?
Okay, takeaways are really important. I think hopefully people see me as somebody that's approachable, relatable, and somebody that's identified that we all have a gift in our life, and it's about nurturing that gift. And sometimes we've not found that gift until we're in our 30s, 40s or 50s. And when you get it, initially I don't think you understand that you've got that gift, but then other people then highlight that. And I think when you have that opportunity and that gift in your life, that then will shape the rest of your life. So perseverance and resilience are really key in that respect, especially for those that are business leaders, business owners that maybe are really passionate about their vision but have not had the success. And I think for young people, empathy is really important. So reach out to people that are like them, feel like them, look like them, that have been successful or maybe have had those challenges, that have the tools, the skills to be able to navigate some of those challenges, that they can relate to those young people. And then I think for the wider community, it's so important to be inclusive, but also that everybody has responsibility to be more inclusive, and not just those roles within business that are, like me, equality and diversity inclusion officer for like some big brands. Everybody should be inclusive, because when you have equality, diversity, inclusion at the heart of all your thinking, it really does make you a better person. And then hopefully people see me as a good person, not just a great athlete.
That's a beautiful way to end that. And how can we follow this journey? How can we, before you get into government and become prime minister and take over the world, and, before you do all these amazing things, how can we follow this journey? How can we?
Yeah, definitely on my website, which is a great tool. I've got so I do this newsletter I do every month, and it just like plots my path. And a lot of people follow me in social media, but it's a real snapshot, and that's on like those TikTok, Instagram, and my great team around me kind of support and help manage that. And it's very authentic. It's really me. And but the website is a great, going back to those old kind of platforms like a website and a newsletter. And then also I'm starting to develop these things. So a merchandise range, which the reason why I wanted to develop a merchandise range is to give some real visibility about the possibility. And from that, providing opportunity for young people and people that want to get into sport with maybe a bursary that people can apply for to then make that happen. So not necessarily a bursary for disabled people or young people. So if somebody, for instance, says, look, I really want to go on this camp, but it's £250. I'm really struggling to get any support, or I'm really struggling to get any funding. Then hopefully I'll have enough capacity to be able to support that individual. And I think that's really powerful as well, to get obviously that, give that support to people, that little leg up. And it can be like the smallest thing to the biggest thing. And again, it's a way of giving back. I remember when people helped me, and sometimes it was just literally a helping hand, or it was a kind word, but also it's maybe moving some of those financial barriers out the way as well. So there's lots of opportunities to obviously reach out and to be part of this journey. And that's what I want to do. I want to have a bigger community follow me, because then we can co-collaborate and we can support everybody in the future.
Well, that's it for another week, and thank you for listening. It's now time to take what you've learned and use it to develop and enhance your life with the key points mentioned. Listen, try it, embrace it, use it, and crush it. Now's your time to hit that next level in your life. If you liked this episode, then please leave a comment on the show notes or a review of the show on your podcast platform. Everything helps evolve the show. Until next week, keep seeking the next level in your life.